So, Leo, it's time for everyone's favorite segment, Browser Watch. We did a whole episode on browser stuff like a couple ago.
Yeah, we're going to give you a break. We're going to give you a little break.
This will go quick, I promise.
It's going to be a small browser watch, but it's about more browsers. We stayed true to the promise that I made a couple episodes ago that we're going to include more browsers. It's not just going to be Mozilla Watch anymore. It's going to always be Browser Watch. A lot of them kind of turned out that way, but now I think there's a bit more of a focus on let's get a little bit about all the different stuff out there. Because not everybody uses Firefox, and not everybody uses Vivaldi, and to a lesser extent, Brave. So let's bring in a few more. Why not? Why not?
We're going to start right off the gate with Gnome Web. Gnome Web, they recently announced in the latest this week in Gnome that they got a new little UI thing for handling permissions stuff. And it's got a nice looking feel to it. I feel like.
It feels like GNOME is what it feels like.
It does. It's a good little addition. And Gnome Web's got some other things that are going for it too. So
I'm sorry, did you say Epiphany?
Jeez, you got me. I don't know. What are we calling this thing? I'm calling it Gnome Web because that's appropriate, I feel like.
I think user facing it's Gnome Web. I think in all the like announcements it's always Gnome Web, but every time I install it, this is what gets me.
Yeah, the package is Epiphany.
Every time I install it, it says, "Oh, you're talking about Epiphany." And I'm like, "No. I'm talking about Gnome Web." And they're like, "Okay, so we'll install Epiphany then." And I'm like, "No. I mean Gnome." And so anyway, so we install Epiphany.
Yeah. Yeah, we did.
and then somehow I have Gnome Web.
I don't know. We pitched it a couple of episodes ago in 315. So, you can check that out for more. But I will say, as built-in browsers go, this one is pretty good. It's kind of towards the top. Like, other operating systems, other desktop environments, I don't know. Do they do it this well? That's a good question.
I'm still running it through its paces. I had some issues with Nextcloud.
There's some things it doesn't do. Yeah.
Getting files into Nextcloud, like at all, is a hump that I think somehow it's going to have to get over. I don't know.
I'm going to try that.
I don't know what's wrong. Like I've dragged and dropped a file and then done it manually, where it's like file picker and everything,
right?
And then I forget what it's called, but it's like no file.
Oh.
It uploads an empty file called like no file or something. I'll put a screenshot up here of it or something. But yeah, and then it's like, and then it's not the file that I wanted, which is weird. But anyway, everything else. I mean, the JavaScript rendering is so much faster, and just the general quality of life of Gnome Web is actually a whole lot faster.
Scrolling is fantastic.
Oh, getting better every time.
So the other thing, in version 110 of Firefox, came the addition to import bookmarks, passwords, history from Opera GX, and Vivaldi. So prior to this release, it was only possible from Edge, Chrome, and Safari. So this really rounds out the ability to import things into Firefox. If you're coming from somewhere else and you want to give it a try, you can get all your stuff in there.
Well, that's kind of been the pain point for people that I have slightly convinced. They're already using Vivaldi, and I slightly convinced them because multi-account containers are amazing, and they wanted to try Firefox. A little rough. Trying to go from Vivaldi to Firefox when you got like a gajillion bookmarks and stuff. Yeah, but now, Firefox 110, it'll handle it now. So if you've been on the edge, if you've like, well, I use Vivaldi and there's no way to import all this stuff into Firefox, well, I got you now.
Yep.
Now you can try it. You can try Firefox. I dare you. I dare you.
Speaking of Vivaldi, Vivaldi's made improvements to their window panel.
I don't use Vivaldi enough. I had to look up what this thing...
Window panel? Yeah.
Was, right? And so apparently it is, if you're one of those weirdos that has like 7,000 tabs open.
Yeah, well, oh boy. I will say, even I had that many tabs open on the last episode.
I just can't wrap my head around it. I cannot wrap my head around like how you keep it together. Well, let me tell you what. So Vivaldi is the only browser that I know of that will actually allow you to make sense of it. So having this many tabs open is not weird in Vivaldi, because in Vivaldi, you always had this thing called the Windows panel.
Right.
And you could slide it out and search through your tabs. This was actually the thing that really upset me about having multiple tabs open, is that eventually they got so small you couldn't read them.
Yeah.
So you just had to go off of icon only, and God forbid you had 4 of the same icon open. You have to click through all of them to figure it out.
You could do crazy things like stack them. That's another way to do it. And we could stack them by domain and all of that stuff. So that does kind of handle some of that other stuff for you. But this, like Leo is saying, really helps you do a searching on that if you need to get into it.
Exactly.
So before we get too far, I will say this used to be called the window panel, and now they've actually renamed it to Windows panel, and hopefully Microsoft doesn't sue them. But it's not just for the current window, it's for all the windows.
Right, exactly. And that's okay. So this is why it makes it cool, cooler, is that if you have 2 Vivaldis, and you had a billion tabs on one and a billion tabs on the other, that window panel would only search the active window.
Right.
Now it'll search across both, or 3 or 4, or depends on how masochistic you are, right? How many windows and tabs you have open. The Windows panel will search all of it and just pop you over to whichever Vivaldi it is that tab lives on. So if you're using Vivaldi and have about a gajillion tabs open, you're cool. You're fine.
It's all good. They got you covered.
Because you can sort them. I can't wrap my head around how you going to do that in Chrome. You're not.
Yeah, you're not. No.
Good luck. So the last one that we got is Microsoft Edge. It adds Adobe Acrobat to the browser itself. So the rendering engine of Adobe Acrobat is now part of Microsoft Edge. So no longer will you have to, on a fresh Windows install, go and get the Adobe Reader. Nobody wanted the Adobe Reader. What they went to the website for, they got the Adobe Reader. I mean, that's great and all. They wanted the McAfee antivirus. That's what they wanted. So now it's part of your favorite Houdini-based browser, Edge. Great.
Okay, then.
So fantastic. I think generally, though, it is a bit of a good change because Adobe Acrobat supports a few more things like signing and like encrypted PDFs and stuff like that. So
like we talked about this a bit ago. Like Firefox upped their game a little bit too.
Yes.